Hello, welcome or welcome back. Today I am talking about Christmas. It is coming into Christmas and there's a lot going on in the world, and so I wanted to make this video to help you move into this holiday period in a really good frame of mind. There's a bit I want to cover with this because there is a bit to this story, not only our own story but the story of Christmas. So I've written some notes. I actually don't write notes for these videos, but I just felt this is really important, so I wanted to really clarify a few things with you about this beautiful story of Christmas. So stick around. If you are new to my channel, welcome. Thank you for being here. My name is Hedley Derenzie and I'm a qualified life coach, and I'm also an author. And I'm super passionate about the amazing teachings of the law of assumption as originally taught by the great American mystic Neville Goddard. It is the stories that we tell that create our reality. So if you want to change your life, then you need to know how to change the stories that you're telling. And if you want to create the most amazing life, then you need to know how to tell the most amazing stories. And Christmas is one of those stories, actually. Since finding these teachings, I'm now telling myself much better stories, and I really want to help you to do the same. If you would like further support with this, or if you would like support over these holiday period, I am available for coaching. I know that this can be an interesting time for some people. So if you would like further support using the law of assumption, I am available for coaching. I also have a free 21-day set yourself up with the ultimate self-concept course that is available now. You can access that instantly, or if you just want to stay connected, I am on Instagram as well. All of those details are down below in the comment box just beneath this video, so check that out. Okay, let's get into it. Okay, so today we are talking about Christmas, considering it is coming into Christmas. It's the 23rd of December here in Australia as I record this video. And I have been thinking about this video for quite some time, knowing that I wanted to make a video about Christmas. Neville has quite a lot to say on Christmas, not only in the book, The Complete Reader, which has all of his books in it, and there's also a number of lectures that he has given about Christmas. So I wanted to start with a quote from The Complete Reader. It is from Neville's book, Your Faith is Your Fortune, and I'll just read it out to you. The story of Christmas is one of the most beautiful stories ever told. When unfolded in the light of its mystic symbology, it is revealed as the true birth of every manifestation in the world. If you are coming into Christmas with some anxiety or angst, it's possible because you have a negative story running of Christmas. Certainly in my past, so prior to the law of assumption, when I wasn't aware of my own stories running and how that was creating my reality, Christmas for me was a super challenging time. Christmas would be the time where we would have the biggest fallout. Things just came to a head and exploded within my family, and they led to arguments and walkouts and stormouts and all sorts of, drama. And then it got to the point where I isolated myself at Christmas. So either I traveled overseas, and one thing that I actually did was I started, I would go overseas over Christmas so that I was just not around for Christmas. And what I started to realize was that you can fly on Christmas Day and then you can miss the whole thing because you're in the air. So I started doing that as well. Like I came up with a lot of different strategies on how to avoid this whole Christmas extravaganza. And then I've come full circle, and now since discovering the law of assumption and the wonderful Neville Goddard, I am so grateful to finally have these teachings and to come into this Christmas holiday period with a whole new understanding and awareness of not only who I am, but what Christmas is designed or was made to be. And Christmas is a celebration, and as Neville says, the story of Christmas is one of the most beautiful stories ever told. And when I read that line, I went, what? That doesn't match up with my experience of Christmas. In the past, my experience of Christmas has been anything but beautiful. So I've really worked with these teachings coming into Christmas, and I wanted to share that with you. And I know that it is a super challenging time for others. That is why I wanted to make this video, because I wanted to help you change your story of Christmas and to rewrite the story that you might have of Christmas and this holiday season. If you are coming into this holiday season with some anxiety, with some frustration, with some fear or worry about how things are going to unfold, especially if you have dysfunction in your family, I mean, welcome to the world. But if there is dysfunction in your family, if there was divorce, if there was trauma, if there was any sort of thing going on that go on in families, these issues and challenges do tend to manifest at Christmas. They tend to rise up at Christmas, and things can come to a head during this holiday season. I wanted to let you know that that does not have to be the case with this Christmas or any Christmas from here onwards, because you now know you are the gods of your reality. You are the creators of your reality through consciousness and through the stories that you're telling. And one of the big stories that we tell throughout our lives is the story of Christmas. And there's a number of stories running. There's not only our story based on past experiences, but there's the religious story that goes with it. And that in itself has been taken completely out of context, like so many of the stories that are in the Bible. And I am not a religious person at all. However, I am drawn to the mystical and the psychological teachings, which is how the Bible was written and originally meant to be received. It is a mystical text. It is a mystical teaching instructing us on how to be in this physical experience. So there's a lot to this topic. So I may go over the normal time, which I speak for. And I just wanted to start with your story. As I said before, if there's been any dysfunctional trauma in your family, that can culminate at Christmas. And then what that does is that creates a story in consciousness of how Christmas is. And then we carry that story into the next Christmas and into the next Christmas. So first of all, if you've had any negative experiences with Christmas, one technique that I would highly recommend you using coming into this Christmas, coming into this holiday period, is revision. Because you are the creators of your consciousness, and past and future are just concepts of consciousness. They are not real. They exist in your imagination, in your consciousness, that you can go back and you can revise any negative story or experience that you've had at Christmas. And you can do that right now. And that's something that I have done. And in fact, what I have done is I've gone back to revise the time where I was in the womb, because my birthday is in March, and so my mum was pregnant with me over the Christmas, and there was obviously something going on within their marriage at that time that led to a certain quality of consciousness that came into that Christmas period, which explains why Christmas was so difficult for our family in the past. So revision is something that I would really highly recommend you do if you have any negative association with Christmas. And the way you revise is you simply go back in your imagination to the scene, you replay it as you would like it to have played out. You replay it as the ideal. Remember, you are the producer, the writer, the director, and the actor in your movie. This is just a movie. You can rewrite the script at any time. So rewrite that script of Christmas if it is anything but favorable. If you've had a favorable Christmas, lucky you, awesome. You are coming into another wonderful opportunity to celebrate a beautiful event. Okay, so what is Christmas? Is not the birth of a guy, Jesus. It is not a historical account of a birth. To understand further what is meant by Christmas, we can break down the words. So Christmas, meaning Christ. So Christ is consciousness. Christ consciousness is imagination. So imagination is God. Jesus Christ is the symbol of imagination of Christ consciousness. And mass, meaning many, is meaning us. So that's every single person on this earth is a manifestation of imagination, of Christ consciousness. That is who we all are at our core. So Christmas is the return to consciousness, Christ consciousness. It is the ascendance, it is the resurrection, it is the rising back up into who we truly are. Christmas is everyone's birthday. So you have two birthdays essentially in your life. There is your human birthday, and that's your individual birthday on whatever date that you were born into this world, and that is the birth of consciousness into man. So that is your individual birthday where you were God, consciousness, and you were born into man, into this human body. And by man, I mean man, woman, they, them. I'm just saying man as manifestation. Then we all have Christmas. And the reason that we all have Christmas is because we all awaken into God consciousness. That is the ending of the movie for all of us. Spoiler alert, that's how this ends. This ends in your awakening back into your God self, back into the truth of who you are, which is Christ consciousness. The reason that there are two birthdays is when we come into this human physical form, we come in forgetting who we are, and that's part of the game. If we knew who we are coming into this, what's the fun? There's no adventure. We need to forget who we are so that we can go on the adventure to return to who we are, to find out who we are, to figure it out. That's the adventure that we go on when we are born into the physical experience. We come in with amnesia. We forget who we are, and that is part of the game. Christmas is our awakening, our resurrection, our remembering of who we are, which is God consciousness. The reason that it was decided to be the 25th of December is for this mystical teaching to coincide with this astrological event that occurs on the 25th of December. That was the winter solstice, meaning what happens, so the sun, from the summer solstice in June, the sun descends, and it descends all the way to the December 22nd or the 21st or 22nd, and it stops. And then it stays still for 3 days, which is why it's considered dead. So the Son of God is dead for 3 days, and then on the 25th, the sun begins its ascent back to northward. And the reason why this event is significant is because very early on, humans realized, or the mystics realized, that this physical world is impossible to exist in without the sun. So the sun is necessary for physical manifestations. So if the sun continued to descend southward, we would all die. We would cease to exist. There'd be no manifestation. December 25th is an important date because that is the date at which the sun all of a sudden begins its ascent back up northward, and we all continue to live on and thrive and manifest. However, the Bible, or the mystics who wrote the Bible, wrote this story in the Northern Hemisphere, and they sort of forgot that actually there are gods in bodies living in the Southern Hemisphere in places like Australia. So this story doesn't actually apply to us in the Southern Hemisphere. This is a Northern Hemisphere story, which is why it's slightly flawed. Really, we should be celebrating Christmas in June, on the June 22nd. I'm not sure actually what the dates are, but winter solstice in June, because that's our winter. The sun descends to the lowest point where it stays for 3 days, and then at the end of June it begins its ascent northward again for us. So it's backwards for us, meaning for Christmas, what we're in summer and we're celebrating the descent of the sun. So we're celebrating the sun moving towards death. So yeah, the Bible was written in the Northern Hemisphere, and they didn't quite take into account us Australians and New Zealanders and all of us in the Southern Hemisphere where this doesn't really work for us, but that's okay. We'll roll with it. The story is a metaphor, it's symbolic, it's mystical, and it is your story. It is the story of every single person on earth, because the story goes that every single person on earth will be born again as Christ consciousness. What I mean by that, as a non-religious phrase, we will all remember who we truly are. That is how this movie ends, in awakening of every single person. Doesn't matter how many lifetimes it takes us, how many bodies we have to go through until we remember who we are. And we remember who we are in physical form, and that is the beginning of the ascent back into Christ consciousness. We are here to awaken, not only ourselves, but every single person in our reality. Christmas is a celebration of manifestation. Even the story of Santa Claus is a story of manifestation. And if you think about it, you've got Santa Claus, who is an imaginary figure who comes down through the chimney and brings presents for all the children. Now, if you look at this from a metaphorical perspective, this is an imaginary figure coming down the chimney, meaning tunnel or the birth canal, into the physical world, so into the world of manifestation, which is represented in the present. And imagine if our kids knew the true story of Christmas and the true story of Santa, which is, if you write your list, and I mean, this is what the story is designed to teach, which is, if you want something, you simply have to ask for it and it will be delivered to you. That is what the story is, and that's what Christmas is celebrating. Christmas is celebrating the awareness, the remembering of who you are, which is Christ consciousness, which is imagination, which is the cause of reality. So if you want something, you just have to ask for it and it will be delivered to you and it will just arrive, which it does on Christmas morning. Those presents just arrived and you had your little list, you wrote your list, then those presents showed up the next morning and it was Santa Claus who delivered it, which was an imaginary figure. And that's how this manifesting world works. We think of what it is that we want and we just know that if we've written it down, we've written that list, we know that it has to show up. But we can't see how that happens. We don't see Santa coming down the chimney. We don't see what goes on in the background. We just know that eventually that gift, that present, that manifestation will arrive, it will show up, and it'll just be there. And we haven't done anything other than just write down what we wanted or just focused on what we wanted. So it's a really powerful story. It's a really powerful teaching to really teach your children about the power of manifestation. And that is what Christmas is all about. It is a celebration of your Christ consciousness, of your reawakening into who you already are, the remembering of who you are, which you forgot at your human birth. We all forgot who we are, most of us. Some of these new kids coming through, they seem to know a lot about where they came from. It's amazing. But for most of us, we forgot. We came in with amnesia, which is part of the adventure, which is part of the game. Christmas is the celebration of remembering that it is the birthday of every single human being on this planet. It is your birthday. So everyone's giving each other gifts. We're all celebrating each other's birthday. We're all celebrating manifestations. And if you think about the gifts that you buy for your loved ones, you listen to what they want, you hear what they want. So we are all part of each other's movies, helping each and every one of us to manifest what it is that we want. And that's what Christmas is a symbol of. It is a symbol of manifesting not only for ourselves, but for everybody else. This is a mystical story. This is a mystical teaching. It is not a historical account. To think about the gifts that you want to give this Christmas, and the greatest gift that you can give not only yourself but others is to envision the highest possible ideal for yourself and others. So to see yourself and to see everybody else as the highest version of themselves, as the gods of their reality, in their true power, in their true beauty, in their true wealth, in their true health, to see everyone as they would wish themselves to be, as you would wish to see them. See everyone in the highest light, knowing that you are the light of the world and so is everybody else. And that is the greatest gift that you can give this Christmas. So I hope that has given you something to think about and to put into action over these next few days. And I just want to wish you and your family a wonderful, wonderful Christmas with these new stories in mind. You really are the creators of your reality. You are the superstar of your show. You are the producer, the writer, the director, and the actor in your movie. What you assume to be true will be so. So assume the best for you and assume the best for everyone in your movie too, and you will have an amazing life. And that includes an amazing Christmas. Thank you for listening, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye.